It's 1997 in the remote mountains of Pakistan. A man sets out on a journey he was supposed to return from, but somewhere between the snow and the silence of the mountains, he disappears. And it would take nearly 3 decades for him to come back, but not in the way you expected. On a day on June in 1997, in the remote region of Khost, northern Pakistan, Nasruddin, a father of two, left home with his brother on horseback and headed into the high valleys of the mountain. They were not going on some ordinary trip. They were fleeing a family feud, and because of the danger, they chose rough mountain route to stay away from possible threats. On that journey, Nasruddin and his brother were lashing their horses through the mountain path when the weather suddenly changed. What had started as a difficult ride through the high valleys quickly became dangerous as a snowstorm swept in and the trail turned hostile in seconds. In that moment, the mountain stopped feeling like a route and started feeling like a trap. But then, things even got worse. Suddenly, Nasruddin fell into a crevice during that storm. His brother tried to save him, but there was nothing he could do to help. That was the last clear explanation investigators and family members had for what had happened to him in 1997. His brother survived, but Nasruddin disappeared into the glacier and was never found at the time. When his brother reported the disappearance, hundreds of people started a search for him, but they all failed to find him. After that, the story becomes the kind of silence families never get used to. His relatives searched for him over the years, and some family members returned to the glacier area more than once to see whether his body could ever be recovered. But eventually they all gave up because it was simply not possible. In his absence, his family even held a funeral prayer at the place where he had last been seen. Though his family had given up, still they would look for him even decades had passed. It didn't make sense. Did he survive the first fall? Did he call for help and nobody heard him? Did he die on the first day, or did he suffer for a while? Could we have found him if we had searched one day longer? Nobody knows. Now it's 2025, and almost everyone has forgotten about him. But we are about to discover something that is going to shock you. On 31st of July 2025, in the mountainous region of Khost, northern Pakistan, it was a normal day, the kind of day that doesn't feel important while you're living it. A local shepherd named Umar Khan had decided to take his sheep up toward the higher parts of the valley, near the Lady Meadows Glacier. He had probably done this same routine hundreds of times before, walking slowly, watching the animals, making sure none of them wandered too far. Up there, the air is thinner, quieter. You don't hear people, you don't hear cars, just wind and the distant sound of water from melting ice. Nothing felt unusual. As he moved along the edge of the glacier, something caught his attention, not in a dramatic way, just something slightly off. A dark shape, half hidden in the ice. At first, it didn't mean anything. Up there in those mountains, you see all kinds of things trapped in ice, dirt, rocks, old branches carried by snow over the years. So he didn't stop immediately, he kept walking. But after a few steps, he looked back. That shape didn't look like a rock. It was too smooth, too different. Still nothing alarming, just enough to make him curious. He slowly walked closer, careful steps. The ground near glaciers isn't stable, wet, uneven, sometimes slippery. As he got closer, the dark shape became clearer. It wasn't just sitting on top of the ice, it was inside it, frozen in. At that point, still most people would brush it off, and he did for a moment. Maybe it's just a breeze. Maybe something old got stuck here years ago. Nothing serious. But then something changed. From a certain angle, the shape looked structured, not random, not natural. There was a form to it. Edges, lines, something that didn't belong to the mountain. This time he didn't keep walking, he just stood there, looking, trying to understand what he was seeing. He moved even closer, and now he was only a few meters away from it. And that's when it started to feel different. The dark shape didn't look like an object anymore. It looked like something that had once been alive. The ice around it had started to melt and thin out, and through the thinning layer, details began to appear. Fabric, not fresh, not new, but still there was this noticeable piece of clothing. At that moment, it wasn't something you ignore anymore, but still your mind doesn't go to the worst place immediately. Maybe it's just something recently lost. Maybe someone dropped belonging. That is how the brain protects itself. He looked around. There was no one else, just him, the sheep, and the glacier. He moved even closer, and now he could see more clearly. The dark shape wasn't just fabric, it had a human form, frozen, still, trapped in ice. And this is the moment where everything shifts, because it's no longer curiosity, it's realization. He didn't touch it immediately, he just stood there, trying to process it, because what he was looking at shouldn't be there, at least not like this. Over time, as parts of the ice had started to melt away, more details became visible. The clothing was still on, not completely destroyed, not scattered, just preserved, as if time had stopped around it. And then, something even more unexpected appeared. Inside one of those pockets was something still intact, an identity card that belonged to Nasruddin. And that's when this stopped being just a discovery and became a story that had been waiting nearly 3 decades to be told. That body had been there since 1997, hidden inside the glacier, silent, unseen, until that ordinary day when a shepherd doing his usual routine noticed something slightly different in the eyes and decided to take a second look, and that second look changed everything. So the real story is not that he came out of the glacier on his own. It is that after decades of melting ice exposed him, for his family, the discovery finally answered a question they had carried since 1997. After nearly 3 decades of not knowing, the glacier finally gave them something, both painful and relieving: certainty.